Welcome. This is the Juicy Group podcast. I am Agro, and
And
this
I'm
is my
Sassy.
co-host. Hell yeah,
We tried to think of another fucking horrible gag to open this, but we came up short.
we did. Uh, just before this, we were talking about Quentin reviews, so that was. Oh, all right. So, how you doing today, Sassy? How you doing?
I'm just kind of getting along, I mean, I still trying to look for a job. It's
Oh yeah,
stressing me out.
I feel that. I've been trying to sort of like on and off look for a new job that isn't in food service because Papa John's is hard.
Yeah. I did go upstate with my cousin and I picked some grapes, so that was fun.
Well, that's good. Excuse me. Yeah, what that did sound fun. We have a couple of vineyards around here, but I think they're really fancy and I'm scared to go to them.
I'm much of a wine person, but I just like going upstate, just a nice pretty place.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it sounds nice. Um I don't know how to like how to transition into our first part. Um I guess we just sort of we're doing the Team C review obviously. And
Taylormadeclips, we're
the
doing the holly suit, right?
yes, that is what won the poll. I remember now off the top of my head. Because I had the notes for it, but I lost them. um, I remember I watched this clip not too long ago. I think the biggest thing about it is that it is the first suit clip that TaylorMade Clips has done, if I'm
I was
not
about to
mistaken.
ask, this is the first suited clip that they did.
Yeah, it was. And it's it's quite the clip. Like it's quite the start. How to there's a word for it.
It's the genesis for what eventually turned into the TMC repertoire that we have today.
Yeah, and like prior to this, they had tease clips. They had Kimberly, Mika, Holly, and Beulah, and they were all lovely. They're like I think I've seen all of them. I can't remember if I've seen the Kimberly tease, but I've seen Mika, Holly, and Beulah, and they're all phenomenal clips. But like this is the first suit one, so Taylor was definitely wanting to do this from the start. I probably should have like asked her about this one, because I talked to her now. The big thing like that sticks out to this one first is the initial color change. That one like kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, it was interesting how they just had that seamless transition with the skin tone change there. Although it happened a little bit later than I would have liked it to, just in my personal opinion.
Yeah, that was kind of my sort of thing. Like, but at the same time, I do like kind of how they pulled it off. So even if it was a little later, it was impressive.
I'm very used to the idea of somebody turning blue and then swelling up rather than swelling up and then turning blue.
That's kind of like a trend with Taylor's clips. I'm kind of intrigued as to why that is. But it's not too big of an issue with me. The I think the real fun part is the fact that initially the suit itself doesn't swell. I think they get like a belly like expansion thing first off. Like I don't think that's the suit itself. It'd be cool if it was, but that was very well done and that was very nice. Holly is I think a bunch of people's favorites because she's really panicky.
With these clips, it's like the over the top reactions that some of these actresses have. Like it kind of runs that line between like kind of funny but also just kind of ear grating and annoying, and whether it ends up being one or the other largely depends on like how much of it we're subjected to, and there was a little bit too much of that in my personal opinion. I can take her in short bursts. I think she's
Oh yeah.
hilarious in short bursts, but having to watch 20 minutes of her being like, "Oh no! Oh no, I'm becoming a blueberry." It kind of wore on me a little bit.
I will say that like Holly had done a lot of expansion clips before this, that were 8 to 10 minutes with like breast or belly expansion, and that those are really good clips. This clip you can kind of skip around and get the gist of it. I would like to make a sort of shitpost compilation of every time she makes a funny little like squealing noise because she does it so much in all of her clips.
Okay, that would be hilarious.
because like that's sort of the thing that stuck out to me from the preview clip before I got it, and then when I got it, that really stuck out to me. It was very funny. And Holly is retired now. I feel like I should say this for anybody who's trying to request clips. If you don't know this already, Holly is retired. She does not work with TaylorMadeClips anymore. I don't think she works in the industry at all. And so if you want to see more Holly, maybe Taylor can find somebody who's like Holly, but Holly herself I don't think works in the industry anymore. I will say that the degrading kind of balance between annoying and not annoying also kind of, you know how like porno is over exaggerated, over the top, completely weird, wacky, and like this would never happen in real life. I feel like this is the fruit expansion version of that.
Absolutely. I mean, we're dealing with a situation that would never happen in real life, obviously.
And compound that with with another this would never happen kind of genre.
It becomes so surreal just watching this unfold. Like, oh god, okay, you're turning into a fruit. You should probably go get somebody to help, or at least like knock on the door, like be a bit. So you're just standing around like, oh no, what am I gonna
Standing around
do?
and faffing about like a fucking.
Hello? There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help.
I think because this type of expansion for the Blueberry expansion happens this specific way twice with the Kiara Mia clip and with the Holly clip. And the Holly clip is sort of like, since it's the first one, it gets a lot of like the hallmarks of Taylor's inflation style, but it doesn't end in a pop. There aren't a lot of like in the early days there aren't a lot of popping berry videos.
It's a shame because like towards the end I thought, ooh, is she gonna pop or is she gonna like sink into the
It's a
suit?
good
Like,
ambiguous end, and you could definitely do an exchange of what you like, one or the other. You know, it's a good clip.
it's a fine clip. I wouldn't say it's my favorite though. Like there's nothing really about it that particularly stands out to me. Do you watch Noah Gervais at all? Do you watch his videos?
Noah Gervais trying to
He does a lot of like analysis of like different video games. In one of his most recent videos, he talked about the song Hallelujah. You know what I'm talking about, the one from Shrek?
yeah, the one of the greatest songs of all time, objectively.
So the original version by Leonard Cohen today is kind of seen as this most basic version of the song compared to all of the covers that have come out since then. Like it is the textbook example of how to do the song but nothing else.
And it's a beautiful song, even then.
And it's a beautiful song, but other people have like other artists have come since and done covers of it, and they've brought their own spin to it. And a lot of these other covers have sort of outshined the original because of their uniqueness. And I feel like you could kind of make a similar comparison between that and this particular Berry clip.
Yeah, the same sort of phenomena happened.
It laid the template for everything that came afterwards, but when you go back to it today, there's nothing really particularly special about it.
No, but it's just got that, you know, it's the common ancestor. The same with the tease clips, because this one isn't a tease clip, and I would sort of separate them by their characteristics.
It's like what was the clip that we did last time? The one where it was sort of a POV clip.
Oh, Mika Tan and her.
Yeah, the Mika Tan one. I love that one. And I liked that one largely because it felt like so different from the baseline formula that this particular clip sets up.
It's a different sort of I want to say clad, but I don't know enough taxonomic terminology to definitively use that, so I'm not gonna. It's a different type, and each new Blueberry clip takes from either one in different ways. If it's a point of view clip or a tease clip, it definitely takes from the or tease clips that came before this Holly clip. And if it doesn't, if it's like a more just general expansion is happening thing, it takes more from the Holly clips, from the Holly clip, I should say. I don't know if she. I think this is one of the final videos she did, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look. I know she did a lot of transformation stuff in her latter days, but
I like transformation stuff. I'm a fan.
There's some pretty good stuff from Taylormadeclips. Lots of animal transformation. A lot of weird stuff though. So
I thought there was a rat one at one point, and I was like, I like the concept, but doing this in live action, like with a limited budget, is a little bit.
sometimes it gets freaky, and I side tangent. Some of those transformation clips get freaky, and I love that because that's just Taylor's style. It's very fun, but it's not for everybody. And like with Holly, I like she does establish the baseline characteristics. I think her own personal spin is when it comes to expansion style clips like these, where there's a surprise expansion or there's a sudden like expansion. The thing that she brings is panic and like the B movie screams kind of thing. You get that? You get me?
I get you. Although I do remember a lot of other clips. The actresses really brought that to that as well.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
This is like Holly sets it up, but like that was what she brought to clips. I'm not saying that it's like just her hallmark and that she was the only one who does that, because there are plenty of people in and out of TaylorMade who definitely know how to make B movie screams. It's really funny.
The first one that came to my mind while watching this was the Kiara clip, and I think I like that one a bit more just because first of all, I think I like the suit more in that one, and
it works better with Kiara's clip because it kind of just happens with Holly.
Yeah, it just kind of happens with Holly, but Kiara felt like she was a bit more of an active participant in it.
It's definitely quite the clip. But I like it. I think the thing that draws me the most to it is the initial belly expansion and the color change, and then how solid the makeup work looks. And then like the final moments where she's sinking in and stuff, and the
yeah, I'm a sucker for that. Like, I mean, popping is fine. I enjoy popping, but like
but
the idea of like
great.
sinking into your own inflating body, like
it's such a body horror trope that is so.
I love it. It's like it's frightening, but it's also kind of hot.
Oh, this is scary. I've learned something new about myself. Oh,
you ever watch the movie Slither?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about already.
That fucking barn scene. For me, it's like, okay, I can like this is horrifying, but it's also kind of hot as well.
This is horrifying, but I
mean, yeah, like, you know, being impregnated with a million bloodworms, it is horrifying, but like, imagine it though. Imagine how it feels, you know?
I can't. Like, I wish I could be like, wow, you're weird, but I can't because I'm fucking autistic as shit and sensory as shit, and I can't imagine that. And I know what you're talking about because that's how I experience kink. So I'm like, fuck yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh my god, yes.
A lot of people are freaked out by the idea of like the sensation of bugs crawling in their skin, like those weird tingling twitches your skin does.
I feel that too, but like that's not the same thing for me.
No, I know, but like whenever I see the slither thing, I think of that sort of it's like a gelatinous writhing sort of thing. That's how I would envision it. Like I kind of get where you're coming from.
Yeah, like I have no desire to have kids or get pregnant, even if I had the ability to do so. But the idea of something like that
of a cosmic horror alien,
or just the idea of being fertile, just sounds fascinating to me, and I don't know why.
I mean, it happens, you know. It's like it's a fascination. I will not deny that everyone thinks about it, and if you haven't thought about it, you will one day. Oh God, and like it's got a solid ending, it's got solid makeup work, and it's got, you know, a good color transition, which I know how they achieved. I will not say. I know how they.
That's right. We're talking about the TMC clip. I totally forgot. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I love these tangents. I love them. They make the thing go more fluid. The way they achieve the color change. Like, I won't give it away because it's you know, industry secret stuff. But like it's very easy to accomplish if you understand practical effects, like, and you know how to edit around it. It's pretty easy to achieve, and once you do it, it should be just that easy. But yeah, I would rate it a 4 squeals out of 6.
I will rate it 3 pregnant bloodworms out of 5.
I don't know how to react to that. I'm sorry. I just fucking. Oh, it's really funny. It's such a. Yeah, I get that. But yeah, I'll post the next poll in the section below. For selecting the clips, and then hopefully, you know, I might include a non-TMC video because I have quite a few of those non-TMC Barry videos. maybe Missa X. I don't know. I'll figure something out. But shall we move on to the artist of the day? Qualtroverse is our artist of the day. I sound drunk even though I'm completely sober.
I swear to drunk, I'm not God.
All right, yeah, our artist of the day is Qualtroverse.
Qualtro.
God. Oh, I swear I'm better than this. Qualtroverse. Our artist of the day is Qualtroverse, and Qualtro is a very unique artist. Recently, I'd like to point out also they released a lens onto Instagram or Snapchat. It is a social media with a lens filter, obviously.
It's Instagram. I tried it myself.
Okay, then there it is. It is Instagram. It is a blueberry body that you can use to make yourself look fucking right to shit. The lovely Berry Chica modeled the initial demonstration of it, and it looks great. I like it.
It's very impressive. He
Oh,
is
yeah.
a very, very talented person, and I've been like trying to get into like 3D modeling and stuff, but this is just on a whole other level. I cannot match his talent.
Qualtro like works so well with texture and making it look gravid and squishy. I would say it, like, in my mind, it resembles the texture of a blueberry when you just barely squeeze it. Like, but as a person.
But as a person,
They have their own original characters. They have lots of 3D models. They also do like stuff with photo manipulations. One of my favorites is the thieving berry waitress or the thieving waitress. It's just somebody stuck in a doorway, fully
oh
round.
yeah, I love
That's
that
really
one.
cute, and kind of tense erotically. They've done renderings of different versions of the character and of different. I think one of them, there's Belle Delphine one. They also have stock photos, stock photo edits, and just general inflation. They do some phenomenal work and animation and stuff. I just don't know where to start because it's so good.
MAXGROWTH mentioned that he's currently helping out on their project at the moment.
I think so, yes. Working somewhat on it, working with the effects and business, and that seems fucking phenomenal. That seems like a great call. I do see in the future a lot of studios working a little more with CG effects. It's become more available and a bit more easy to use and intuitive. Yeah, Qualtro's work is phenomenal.
Doesn't help the fact that practical effects studios are unionized and CG studios are not, though.
Oh, that is true. That is one downside. I will say I do like their animations. I do like all their stuff. I think they have a YouTube channel, which I definitely will link. Overall, I followed them like a bunch of people since they began. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal work. There's such a attention to detail, like attention to gravity, and attention to lighting. I'm a tactile dude. I like the feel. I like the touch. I like the
Tactile is the
texture,
name of
and
the
that is
game.
sort of how it is. Because it's very hard to emulate this, so the imagined sensation, is kind of what people go for. Some people go for the tension or the erotic drama. Some people like the texture and tactility. Some people like an interplay of either. Some just like the fact that it's almost BDSM.
And for me, it's kind of a mix of those things. Although the
It is,
tactility
yeah.
is definitely a big part of for me because I'm autistic as shit and I love tactility.
This is the Autistic as Shit podcast. We're officially rebranding. and their renders are some of my favorites. I love how they look. I love how they like. I wish like you could 3D print clay or like a squishy material, because like if you could, boy howdy, could culture sell these as like stress balls. They just look like stress balls.
I want a blueberry stress ball. I
Because
want a stress ball. I want a stress ball girlfriend actually.
there's like, well, that's just a big titty goth Gia.
I want a big titty goth GF turned into my own personal squish ball.
Because like they have an animation of a stress ball like inflation person on their gallery. It's one of my favorite, like, because it's just a squeeze. I think eyes like go crazy, and then it's just that on loop, and I love it.
Give it like a squeaky toy sound effect and it would be perfect.
Oh yes, absolutely, 100%. It's fantastic stuff. I would implore all of you to give them a follow and to look at their stuff and support their work, because they're doing God's work. God made this universe woefully lacking in the fruity expansion department, so Qualtra is picking up the fucking slack.
Nintendo, hire this man.
The new assist trophy, fucking gum.
I'm assuming they're a man. I have no way of knowing. I don't want to assume.
That's fair. Honestly, primo amazing animation. I cannot stress enough that they do a lot of hard work and they focus on a lot of the details, and it shows. It's very good.
This is good stuff.
Any final statements?
Berries are hot.
just like we get a microscope into both of our brains. It's just a loading symbol saying berries are hot.
And he makes some hot berries.
Yeah, I like the colors are also like dark but not too dark. Like they're inventing room dark, if you catch me.
My favorite kind of coloring is when you have a subject who's starting to inflate and they have sort of a very light shade of blue across their skin. But that shade of blue starts to get darker and darker and darker the more they inflate.
Saturation.
Sort of indicate how much juice they have in their system.
Yeah, they get more saturated.
Yeah.
That's a fucking graphic design joke that 3 people will get.
You know what saturation is?
I know, but like I don't really expect a lot of people to get it. I dropped out of graphic design because it was very, very intense for me. That's all I can take away from it, is making shitty puns about images.
Clearly graphic design was not your passion.
No, it wasn't. It was not. I can fully confirm that by the end of it, I was just like, oh fuck, this is a terrible idea. I shouldn't go into this field. I will end my life before I leave.
God.
It was intense, but it wasn't too terrible a transition. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, that makes sense. You do seem like a much more chill guy. You probably would not deal with this stress well. I'm like, thank you. Okay, bye.
So, are we going to move on to the next segment?
I mean, I think the way that we move on to the next segment is we first have a 9-minute screaming period where we just scream, what the fuck?
What the fuck, OnlyFans?
What the fuck? Oh my god.
Why would you cut off your primary source of revenue, you idiots?
I know they recanted it. I know they walked back on it. But like, oh, there's so many things. There's so many things that are happening here. And there's no way to condense it down. It's like a Behind the Bastards episode length of fucking bullshit. Like, where to begin? First off, did they just not learn from Tumblr? Like, I can understand if they didn't learn from DeviantArt when it started policing more. But Tumblr was like the most publicized fucking thing. It took the biggest hit and it had to sell itself to another company to make back losses. You mean, how did they not learn from that? How did they not see, oh, maybe we should brace for the fucking evangelical nutcases from Exodus Cry that are gonna fucking come up our asses? Because of course they are. Jesus fucking Christ. So, shall I explain the situation, or would you like to explain the situation that happened?
I'm still a little bit vague on a lot of the details, so maybe you're a bit more equipped to deal with it.
Okay, then I will do it, and you will react with either applause or boos.
All right.
So, as most of you should know, since you probably know and consume adult content, because if you didn't and you found this podcast, I'd be very concerned at how you're getting adult content. But OnlyFans is a platform where people can buy subscriptions to someone's services. It was built off of and around sex work, sex workers, and producing sexual content. It was not directly implied in their advertising, but that was pretty much the gimmick. That was pretty much what sold OnlyFans.
Actually, I was under the impression that like that wasn't their intention, but that's what they ended up with.
Well, yeah, no, like I said, like they didn't advertise it. They didn't advertise explicitly. They were trying to, keep themselves at a safe distance to seem like a legitimate business, or to seem like a business that wasn't tied to adult stuff. But that is how adult companies go usually. They usually go as like free speech platforms or all these different. It's a complicated fucking political mess.
Of course.
Because America is great, but they basically they had to dance around the topic for a while, and it became a euphemism that if a girl had an OnlyFans, she was a sex worker. If a person had an OnlyFans, they were a sex worker. And it basically became that if you had an OnlyFans and that was you're a sex worker, and that's what you were selling your body, which is a very big reduction of what sex work is. And OnlyFans was pretty much thriving off that. When the pandemic hit, OnlyFans shot up in value. And right around that same time, pretty much every sex worker said, this is when we start the countdown when they try and transition out of it, when they disregard sex workers. Because Tumblr did it. Fucking DeviantArt did it. Tons of sites did it. Backpage had to do it, which was a huge platform for like tons of different services. But basically, they had to sort of, it shot up in value. And then celebrities started joining it. Cardi B, I think Bella Thorne, everyone started getting onto it. And some people did sexual content, some people didn't. And it started making OnlyFans a less sex worker dominant brand, even though it's still very dominated by sex workers, and it still carries the sort of stigma. And then eventually OnlyFans, I think around July or August, started like being more public about it. They made a change of terms early on, but they were being more public about it. That they were going to transition to not adult services. half to 80% of their platform is adult service.
Yes, let's just not be the thing that we are.
Half to 80%.
What the fuck,
shit.
OnlyFans?
So every sex worker that I follow, every sex worker that uses OnlyFans, every sex worker, every sex adjacent worker on OnlyFans rightfully went, hey, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
And OnlyFans was like quiet, and then it got real bad. And then they're like, their first ever, and I cannot stress this enough, the first time they ever addressed sex workers by name and terminology was when they were trying to calm their fears.
We're trying to calm their fears by not calming their fears.
Like, it was such a fucking Facebook answer.
Hey, yeah, we thank you for making our business thrive, but we're not going to do shit about you.
And finally, there was a backlash to where they recanted it, and they started actually standing up against the group that pushed this. And the reason why there's been an uptick in a trend in people kicking adult content off of platforms isn't because suddenly people are realizing, oh, we can make money without being porn. It's because there's a fucking bunch of like evangelicals behind it.
It's the kind of censorship that internet chuds complain about, like sort of
But
during
don't
the
fucking give a shit about. Like,
yeah. It's like, this video game character's tits are not as big as they used to be. This is censorship. But meanwhile, people are losing their livelihoods due to moral outrage from a bunch of crazy religious nuts. It's like, fuck them.
Like, and oh god, this intersected so many different things. Like, I'm gonna have a sociological orgasm because these are all topics that I'm very passionate about and I want to do studies on. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, like, where to begin? Okay, so the reason why there's an uptick in a lot of Puritanism is because of like moral outrage, and that moral outrage is centered around a bunch of hyper evangelical like super churches. One of them is based near where I live, out of Kansas City, called the International House of Prayer. It is a cult. It is not just Christianity. It is a cult, and it has an offshoot called Exodus Cry, and that was one of the main like groups pushing for the change to this policy, pushing for OnlyFans to stop sex work. The way that they did that was they were trying to say that OnlyFans was promoting sex trafficking. It's how they went after Pornhub, it's how they went after Tumblr, and it's how they've gone after OnlyFans. I cannot, as a person who talks to sex workers, who's studied this, like, stress to everyone listening enough. This is not what they're trying to do. They don't give a shit about trafficking. If they did, they would care for sensible border policy that allowed people to get in easier and more and more readily. Trafficking occurs because it is impossible to get into a country. It is impossible to get anywhere into America. That's why trafficking occurs across the world.
If they cared about trafficking, they'd be going after the Catholic Church.
If they cared about trafficking, they'd be going after the church. They'd be going after fucking ICE, because ICE has a ton of shit died with that.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be going after local law enforcement on the border and around border towns, because that happens there. There are tons of dictators. No, they don't give a fuck about trafficking. They want to kill sex workers. That is what they are doing. Like, and I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat it, because they can say, oh, we're not trying to kill them. They just chose that way of life and they're going to die. No, fuck it. They're trying to kill them. They think they are sinful. They are trying to murder them. That is the entire fucking point. They want this platform not to promote sex work because they think it is a sin, despite the fact that there are numerous times in the Bible where a sex worker helped the fucking protagonists. Despite the fact that all these different things are happening, OnlyFans was bent under the pressure of an evangelical fucking like shell organization to get sex workers into harm's way, to kick them off their platform. And this is the first fucking time I've seen a major company recant their action because there was enough outrage. That's insane to me in its own right, because it actually shows something fucking happened and something changed.
Just don't fuck with sex workers. They know how to get shit done.
Like, on top of the fact that like we should give a fuck about sex workers, on top of that fact, just because somebody does sex work,
as you mentioned, they helped Jesus.
Like, it's almost exclusively a conservative thing, and it's across the world, everywhere there's conservatism, everywhere. Like, it is this belief that sex workers aren't people, and like, oh my god, this pisses me off. But like, on top of like giving a fuck about sex workers, you wouldn't have a ton of content. You wouldn't have a ton of the shit that you have like in this community without sex workers, without people like Woodskinkcafe, without Ivy Davenport, without like Big Cutie Margaret, without Taylor. Taylor is a dominatrix. She ran a fucking dungeon. She like a sex dungeon. She knows her shit. She is a sex worker. Like, without people like that, you wouldn't have content. Without Miss X, you wouldn't have content. Like, I don't care how much you don't like it when people simp for fucking sex workers, whatever the fuck that bullshit means. If you don't give a fuck about sex workers, leave the community. You're not welcome here. Fuck off. You don't get the content. You don't get to ask for free content. You don't get to ask for sex adjacent work and be sex positive and hate on sex workers. You can't do that. That's not compatible. Like, it's infuriating to me that this happened because it's so local to me. I could easily walk over to the International House of Prayer and shout "fuck Jesus" easily. It's an hour away from me. It's so fucking infuriating that this happened. What the fuck, OnlyFans?
So this place is not too far from where you are. Do you think you could
God,
just
no, I've
give...
driven past it.
Okay, so do you think you give like a phone number or some kind of contact information?
I'll put in
like,
contact information. I will do
just to
fuckers...
tell the good people here, do not contact these people. Do not flood their inboxes with messages. Do not flood their inboxes with blueberry porn.
Don't create a bot network to spam their email at all. Like,
we do not condone that at all.
But like, at the same, like, I can walk over there. Like, it's a massive building. It's a massive fucking building, and it's infuriating because these people are fucking like pissing themselves over how much poor people suffer and how much the third world suffers, and it's all fucking bullshit from them. It's like they cause half of it. They're the problem. Like, if I had my way, like, that fucking that wouldn't be allowed because it's a cult.
If this organization cared about poor people, then their owners wouldn't be millionaires.
Right. Or if they're not millionaires, they wouldn't be a super church. They wouldn't be a cult. Like, it's infuriating. And the guy who ran the organization that they worked with, Exodus Cry, he basically made a bullshit documentary about sex work. He's just a complete fucking charlatan trying to fucking hurt people. I'm baffled. I am baffled that this is not only is this legal, that this is something that happens daily. This is something that is happening that people don't talk about it. Because like it's so fucking infuriating. How the fuck did OnlyFans think that was a good idea?
I mean, again, buckling to moral outrage is just kind of a thing with these companies.
Yeah, and it even goes. The worst part is, like, it isn't even just buckling to moral outrage. It's the moral outrage influencing card companies, fucking credit card companies like MasterCard and Visa to pull out support for these sites, which is just gross. That's gross misuses of power. So basically, I need to, in the description of or in our link tree when I post this, I need to post donation stuff for sex worker aid organizations, shouldn't I? I should do
Have a
that.
couple in mind?
I do. I follow. I think Hacking and Hustling, SWOP. I'll put a bunch in the description.
Right. I'm gonna need to follow some of those too, because I need to keep up with that sort of thing.
And yeah, and sociologically speaking, as a sociologist, this issue intersects a lot of issues. This intersects gender, sexuality, indigenous rights, people of color rights, gay and like gay, trans, queer community rights, like women's rights. It intersects a lot of issues, and it like what happens to sex workers will magnify upwards. It is always the case. There are very few instances in which, if at all, where something that happened to sex workers didn't fucking directly affect the populace later on. Like that's what we got to remember that. But yeah,
Exactly.
that's the what the fuck OnlyFans segment.
Yeah. What the fuck, OnlyFans?
We're gonna transition from this into probably one of our most chill interviews.
Oh yeah, this was a good one.
What a fucking transition. All right, well, our interview's up next. Enjoy. And welcome to our interview portion of the podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Emmy from Akemi Expansions. Say hi, Emmy.
Hello. Hi. Great to be here. Special guest. Wow, that's flattering. I appreciate that.
What is this? A crossover episode?
All right. So I feel like preliminary, usual bog standard questions out of the way. What got you into all this? What got you into this lovely, expansive community?
So I guess the short answer is anime.
That's a new one. That's absolutely a new one, but fair.
Any specific anime?
Okay, yeah. So I'm a child of the internet. So boy, I saw a lot of old YouTube clips. You know, back like OG YouTube, and people
Yeah,
would
yeah.
just put like
There's
what is it, Megachromatic
compilations.
on there. Yeah. Amazing Nurse Nanko, Icon clips. So it's just like a vague history of booba anime clips.
Yeah.
Sort of led me down the rabbit hole, and here we
Oh, yeah,
are.
It's totally fair.
Booba.
I remember like I got into a whole genre of music because of those kind of compilations. One of those videos used like Eurodance or Eurobeat, and I was just like, well, now I have to know what this is, and that was my entire personality for like a month.
So like, what is generally like the kind of what do you generally set out to do when you make your content?
Okay, so when I make content, I wanted to first and foremost, as selfish as it sounds, I want to enjoy it. Like, have you ever made something you didn't like?
Yes,
Yeah, occasionally. Like there are times where I have
100%.
Yeah, like there are times where I have an idea and I just sort of go for it and think, "Oh man, this is going to come out great," and then it turns out shit, you know?
It's like a fucking splat. You just
Or it's just Katy Perry on a pufferfish.
Oh,
oh come on, that was a good one.
what I want to do whenever I'm making something is I want to make sure that I like it first and foremost. If I'm working with somebody, like I'm shooting something live action with like Tira or Mads or Candii or anybody, then I want to make sure that they like it. So we gotta, everybody involved has to be on board before we do anything. And then after that, it's just I want to make sure that the general audience enjoys it and that they aren't made to feel uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been working with Mads?
Yeah, we did 2 videos.
That sort of leads into my next question actually.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, what like we've seen like an interesting trend during like quarantine, no less, with what we've deemed with what I've sort of deemed mega booed models. Like, what is your perspective on like that? What do you like? What do you think influences that? And like what do you think draws people towards that? Because I've seen this kind of stuff before.
Yeah.
With like there was Mastasia, like a decade ago now
Oh
with their
yeah,
own giant
yeah.
prosthetic tits and shit. So I was just wondering what your perspective on that kind of stuff and how it sort of developed and how what draws people in, what that might be, because that stuff kind of just fascinates me just to sort of hear.
Okay, so I think it has a distinct number of advantages over the kind of content, the kind of expansion, live action expansion content we used to make. First one is it's very easy to enter into that domain. The barrier for entry is $200.
Jesus. For an investment like
I'm
that,
just gonna write that
like,
down.
and then
So it's not it is not very difficult to get started. It's easy to edit. So editing those kind of videos, so Mads sort of popularized the jump cut style of no booba to big booba.
that was a fascinating thing to watch, like, come about.
Yeah, and it's interesting how like watching Vex, people like Vex expansions and Ambrosia Nyx, like the way they like kind of sort of piggybacked off of that style. Like it's becoming a thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's a trend. I don't know if a trend's the right way to
I used
say
it as
it.
sort of just like a demonstration, but trend was the best word in my mind. I just couldn't think of a word, but yeah.
It takes really no energy to do that right. If you're making your own props or someone's made props for you, there's a lot of engineering that goes into that, and making sure that your camera angles are good, and you'll have to probably shoot the same thing a bunch of times, and if you don't have multiple cameras, you'll have to move the camera around, and then you want to make sure that the growth rate is even, and then if one of them inflates faster than the other, you have to fix it and do it again. And then when you're moving the camera, you might have leakage if you don't have your props set up right. It's just a lot to think about. But with the prosthetic, the breastplate, you got to put it on and you got to jump.
you gotta put it on and you gotta take that leap of faith.
Yeah, you do, and you can do that really as many times as it takes to get it right.
I think one of the most like kind of interesting perspectives off of this is like it it shows that with the right thought process, you can just sort of jump into it with the right creativity, and the way that all of these models are creative with it just sort of like fascinates me. And since like it's so adjacent to this to the blueberry community, it can both enjoy that community and also like edge into and work with this community and sort of build different more fun stuff with those kind of blended kinks and stuff.
Right,
Like
right.
I just like how it sort of like came about suddenly. Like you could just tell when everyone in quarantine was like, we are now very horny all of the time.
You really could. It was something was activated,
It was like
and
it was the month of Animal Crossing, but instead it was the month of giant silicone prosthetics.
Horniness is the only happiness I know.
what happened is if you're in the U.S., well, I think a lot of different countries got like a stimulus check, but in America we got two, and the first one I believe is when people were like, "What am I gonna do with this money?"
They just hold it. They're like they're like that slow loris with the two bananas, and they're like, what do I do? And then another person pulls out the third banana. The banana is labeled porn, and that's what they did with the
Yeah,
money.
it was like that Hannibal meme where he's looking at his hands, but instead of like looking at his hands, it's like they're just looking at booba.
At booba. And
they're holding
wanting the
and
booba
then they're
in
like,
their hand.
wait a minute. Yeah, exactly. And they're like, this is it. This is my destiny. And so I some inside baseball, if you've never heard this before. So I saw Mads on Twitter a while ago, back at the beginning, when she was Mads is stoked and not Mads is stacked. And I was like, hey, do you do any custom videos? Because if you do, I certainly have some work for you to do. And she did a video for me and took some pictures, and that was cool. And she like posted one picture and went from 10K followers to 68K followers overnight.
That's an insane transition. I feel that's a lot for one. That would be a lot for me. Like
she was
that,
serving a dedicated market.
Yeah. So I saw that, and she saw that, and she messaged me, and she was like, "This community is nuts. It's crazy.
It's huge.
Yeah." And I was,
this is big as the prosthetic.
It's bigger than my fucking mommy milkers.
and we weren't even using. So this was pre the breastplate. This was, I sent instructions. I sent equipment. And just like, here's how I make a really easy prop. It's $9. It takes 6 minutes. Do what you can. I sent her a video, and it's like, here's what you would need to make sure that works. And it really just exploded. So I feel like upon her sort of using that and getting started and getting into the community, she kind of had an influence on people within that circle. Because Mads, and this is something I thought about when you asked your question, a lot of the models that are doing this new type of expansion type of content, this live action content, they've already been in the game somewhere. They had an OnlyFans or Loyal Fans or Clip Store. They already have a lot of the equipment that you would need to really sort of transition.
So, I'm just asking for a friend, but what happened to be on the shopping list of that $9 prop instruction that you sent to her?
I'll do you one better and send you the video.
Oh, okay. I mean, obviously that would be very appreciated, but like, maybe is this like confidential information? Is that something that you don't want to share to the lovely audience?
I would say it's like light work confidential, like as in, if you, because I watched your show, so if I gave you this and you wanted to have it play as one of your little bumpers, like during your YouTube video, I would not mind. However, I don't want to go into too much detail. I'll compromise. So I'll still send you the video, but also you need vinyl tubing, you need latex balloons, you need either an aquarium pump if you want to get fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Or a what is the little, there's like a cheap little $20 Dirt Devil type vacuum device that, boy, it gets the job done. It's a little engine that could. And that is really what you need to get like a basic prop set up.
All right.
Those are the pieces. You'll see assembly when I send that to you.
That sounds like a very like simple and straightforward way to do it. Like and you can build from there, from the sound of it.
Yeah, definitely. You can get real fancy. The Mads has some new props that's she's gonna put out in a few days, and you're gonna be like, well, these are complex. So there are levels. So yeah, definitely.
The way, like, I think one of the big things that sort of is emblematic of how you develop embodying that kind of stuff starts with like starting simple. I remember like a lot of the studios that I get expansion content from, when they wanted to delve into something but they weren't sure how well it would do, they would start with the very basic and simple stuff, like basic props and shit.
Yeah.
Build off of it, because or basic effects and stuff, and build off of it, because it's like it's far easier to do that and see and dip your toes in than to fully immerse yourself in and then watch as nothing happens. Like it's just it's like a return on investment thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is tough to drain all your resources on something, and you're like, all right, here I go, and it's like 7 hearts. You're like, oh dude, oh man.
it's that video of it's like that TikTok video, the guy throwing the gorilla and then just landing and it just splat.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what it is.
And then there's Chunky. He's dead.
And all the laughing doesn't come from you. It's everyone. It's everyone
Oh
else.
fuck. I hate you're right, because like there's a deep discussion that should be brought about with like creators on your level and stuff, like about like community confidence in big projects like that, because there have been instances like I could probably count them on my hand mostly, but they were big and effectual, and they were big and like heavy hitting, and they were gonna do a lot, and then they just and and it takes a lot of like confidence for people to trust somebody already, but like if you don't have any work prior to that, like asking for that kind of investment, it's hard, you know. And people just want to and with porn, people just sort of just want to, you know, yoink and go and they don't want to like really like build a sort of investment and build onto it and like plan big projects unless they know that they're going to get something good.
Yeah, you see, I was I you would think that, but there's a pocket of this community that is like very dedicated.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, and they don't they're here.
They're
You know,
just they're quietly in the shadows. They're like,
they'll stay.
oh yeah.
Like I don't think Taylor's going anywhere.
Oh yeah, I don't think she will either. There's people like, I think there are dedicated people. The issue with me is like there are projects that have been all talk and no show, and that's what people worry about with content like this. And when you start small and develop in bigger, that leads to a better, you know, outcome. You know.
That's all the time. I have a secret about that actually. I don't know. Do you remember? I think this was 2018, 2019. B Engineer was doing a video and he asked for some of my help. It was like a Indiegogo project called Be Kind. Do you remember that?
I think I vaguely remember it.
I don't, mostly because like I around that time I was so immersed in the fruit side that I was never immersed in the booba side.
Oh, okay. You would. All right. I understand. That's
So
actually
I may need a story time just for like an explanation, but this sounds already kind of interesting.
okay. So there was a we did or he did. I just helped fund, and then I said, because this is let me go to the beginning. When he wanted to shoot this, I said, "All right, so I'm gonna give you money. I'm gonna give you money to make props. I'm gonna give you money to hire an actress, and I'm going to give you money to do any sort of effects work that you want to do. In return, I want a share of your profits." And he said, "Okay, that sounds fair." So what we did is before we started an Indiegogo or did any of that, I was like, I want you to hire everybody. I want you to build everything that you need to have built. I want you to get an Airbnb. I want you to have essentially anything we would need to ensure the success of this project. He said, "Okay, cool, great." He got everything that I asked for, and he said, "All right, now what?" And I said, "Next, we're going to shoot. We're going to shoot the short film." So we shot it. I said be kind. I meant be calm. Sorry, I'll post
Yeah.
a link. But he shot it. He recorded everything. He started working on effects, and then after we were 75% of the way through doing everything with Be Calm, then we opened up the Indiegogo, because what I wanted to do is get ourselves in a position that if we hit the goal, there would be an end game.
Hmm.
Because my greatest fear as a creator and probably as a human being is to ask people for money for a project and then never deliver the project.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
It gives me intense anxiety to think
It gives
about.
me anxiety to ask for like help from like servers. So yeah, that's even like that's harder because it's
It gives me anxiety to just speak to anybody and ask anything from them. Like, getting you on this show was like, it felt like a Herculean task to me.
Oh, I'm okay. Yeah, about that. I'm sorry I missed you previously.
Oh, no.
I boy.
It's not I'm not blaming you for anything. It's just I personally have a lot of anxiety when it comes to this kind of stuff. So it's like you
yeah, I was nervous too.
Yeah.
You're big person, so it's like, oh wow.
Everybody says that a lot. It really doesn't feel like it.
I know, and I think I think what it is social capital. It's like the social presence of a person versus the reality. Because like we've had people who are big on as well, and like I was like I'm nervous, and then we start talking to them, and now we have this sort of normal conversation like we're having now. It was just sort of like a nervous thing, but yeah, no, asking for like money that adds a whole new level to it because now there's grounds for legal precedent if delivery is not given. So
Yeah,
Mm.
you wanted to ensure that kind of shit.
yeah, definitely. And it was one of my friends, and this is their first project they were doing.
Oh
Be
yeah.
optimist. So it's like I don't want to publicly say, "Hey, here's my bud. He's making a video." I helped out a little bit. Here's like the Indiegogo, and then like he never does anything. Now I look bad, and he looks bad, and it's no one's. It ruins things for the community down the line.
We've had stuff like that happen, on the fruit side of things. And it's not fun because like it upsets everyone in every capacity and it just sort of like causes mistrust and it really shouldn't need to. Like the fact that you're going through that kind of assurance and the fact that like when people plan that kind of stuff, they should have at least some of the major work already in progress done or scheduled because otherwise it just seems kind of disregarding and complicated to even attempt because then you've applied pressure and you don't have anything squared away. You see it with projects completely unrelated to this kind of shit where it's just like the secret wristwatch was like one of those big scams, the one where it was like going to project onto your body.
Oh man, yeah. What? Then I saw Captain Disillusion talk about that. I was like, how
This
did
is
we
what I was
ever
thinking of.
who gave this money? How did we ever think this was possible?
He influenced how I sort of digest these things now, like digest different like funds and stuff like that. Now you have to sort of think critically. Okay, have they demonstrated their ability? How have they demonstrated their ability? Is this an adequate demonstration, or are they just pulling the wool over my eyes? And a lot of the times, these projects that we see aren't, but in like different sectors, they're harder to accomplish. Like you talked about the ease of entrance for like booba modeling.
Hmm.
This I love how also that's the term we're using. Like when it comes
Yeah.
to like fruit expansion, that's a completely fucking different thing altogether. Because like it's either you involve the entire body in a suit that possibly they can barely move in, or you have some minimalist makeup and some sort of acting, and it's very different.
And sometimes it requires both.
Yeah, I give some extreme props to people who are doing that kind of expansion work, like blueberry stuff. It's just woo. That's a
Intimidating.
that's a that's a beast. It's a beast. Let me tell
Mm.
you. I when we first were getting started, Tira and I was like, hey, do you want to do a blueberry expansion? And I like showed her some pictures and like some videos. She was like, I don't really think that's for me. I was like, oh, thank God.
It's hard to accomplish, and like we see with the very little but increasing presence of it that there are different ways to accomplish it. I think like the way that Taylormadeclips does it is sort of like the standard, like the bar where it's like this is
Yeah.
good. There can be different ways that can be done better, or there are ways that can be done worse, but it's definitely the one that sets the standard. And I think that's very important to sort of think about is what would be considered like low effort and what would be considered high effort, what would be considered the standard, and setting that standard is important. And I think sort of like what you and creators like around you have done is sort of showing that the standard can be flexible in these different spaces and you can think outside the box about them. The jump cut style editing that Mads is known for is very, very key to that kind of outside the box thinking. And we're seeing some of that sort of bleed everywhere else and people start working with different things. And I really, really like where this kind of stuff is going, just
Oh yeah.
general size kink wise. I'd love to see what like how SizeCon or how stuff like that, big meetups and big interactions like that would look once stuff starts really fleshing out in that direction.
As someone who's been there in person, it's like watching people, like I've seen multiple people walk in with like big ass, titty prosthetics.
Big old conkers.
And it's like it's so surreal.
Yeah, it's I know what you mean. Like Molly with the body on the Twitter has been having a good time, with her booba breastplates, and she's posted a series of pictures. She's like out, she's in public, and wow, it is surreal. Let me tell you.
I think it allows for a sort of plasticness with self-image that allows for people to build confidence in their regular self and then sort of express their exaggerated and weird self, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
There's like gender euphoria that you can get. There's just different stuff that like can come about from just simple costuming choices and prosthetics and like that. It's just fascinating watching how this could influence in different ways and where it can go, you know? And I'm kind of blown away at how quickly it took off and just how drastically different people took it. And I can't wait to see where it goes, who it affects and stuff. And I'm just this kind of like speculation and shit, obviously, but it's it's fun to talk about.
Helpful hint to our lovely audience. You want to experience like a small hint of gender euphoria, take a padded bra, fill up 2 plastic bags with water, stuff the plastic bags in your padded bra, boom, instant gender euphoria.
Hell fucking yeah. Alrighty. Now to get sort of beyond the sort of community aspect and more towards the sort of like just banter, because we've been having banter, but now sort of just like to get to the sort of random questions that aren't about work, but more just about like general media opinions. What like because I asked you about like sort of where it inspired you. Like, what kind of media do you think is sort of pivotal or like influential in this kind of community and its sphere? Like, what sort of you specified anime? Like, any specific ones that come to mind, or like different stuff that you like both in like the expansion community and like sort of in the more mainstream, just like, oh, this happened in an episode for some reason that you kind of feel is like something that has left reverberations, because like we have that, and we usually we've talked extensively about that, but the reverberations of like certain media pieces, what do you think some of those would be?
What piece of media irreversibly fucked up your perception of sex?
Man, I was gonna say that's a deep question.
It is.
Um, Boy, okay. I'm not even really sure how to answer it. So I know that anime is like really general. If I had to like think about things that I read, if we're talking about me personally, do you know the manga, the Psychic Academy?
I have heard of it.
I am not privy to a lot of manga, so I have not
I
heard
am
of
a
it.
weeb for tokusatsu, so I sometimes just get exposed to that by proxy. So I kind of know. That's not the just explain it, because like I think I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, so I guess I haven't talked about this in years. I just looked up the covers, and I'm just like, oh boy, here. I am. I'm 15. Um, I guess a summary is it was like I think of My Hero Academia. Okay, it was like everybody had these psychic powers, but there was this kid who did not have any kind of psychic powers, and then eventually we discover that he had the greatest psychic power of all time, and
Quirkless freak.
that's yeah, it's essentially yeah. But why I bring it up as like a fundamental thing for me is because damn, look at those titties. Like
Yes,
I got
kind of.
absolutely
Yes.
bodied. I'm minding my own business. I'm walking around Borders bookseller, and I see the cover of this manga, and I'm like, this is about to change my life. This right here. This is gas. So I mean that was definitely one of the things that opened the door for me.
I've looked up the covers and I see why.
Yeah, I
Holy cow, this would have caught anyone's eye at the age of 15.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, what's going on? I'm innocent. I'm just trying to live.
Out of like 9 different covers, like 2 of them have what I assume is the main character, and the rest of them, they're just curvy people.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like number 1 has the main character on it, and like number 9 and then
Everything else is, oh look, bunny costume. Oh look, schoolgirl. Oh look, witch costume.
Yeah, they were like, we know why you're here. we know why you're doing
This
this.
is very obvious, and we should definitely address this. Yes.
So this took me on a journey. I went home. We had a pretty crappy computer and pretty below average internet, but whatever. I struggled. I was gonna find out. So did some Google searches on this. I found a website, the Yukatakashi's Fans Superior Waste of Time, and it got worse.
Yeah.
So
that's how it goes.
That's how it
Like,
goes.
I
That's
remember-
how you go down a rabbit hole and then you just can't come out.
I couldn't.
Sometimes people go up the rabbit's hole.
Oh yeah, I remember when I was like 11, 12, and I was just like, well, I am bored. And then after that, everything was gone. Everything. Like I had to learn how to use incognito mode. I had to learn how to find use hard drives and shit. I was just like, yeah, that's always how it goes.
Oh, you were way smarter than me. Okay, I got wrecked. So
I learned because I got caught at least 3 times.
oh, okay. So yeah, we're in the same boat here. So I was on that website I was telling you about, and they had, the whole website was screen caps of just various anime booba, just stuff I never heard of. I was like, what is a hentai?
Just get this little nerdy shit going. What is a hentai?
Yeah, I had no idea, but I'm just like, whatever. I'll learn later. Fuck it. So I was just downloading clips, just en masse. It did not matter what it was.
Oh
what
god!
show
And
it was
you
from.
got that crappy computer shit. Just like the computer's like,
Yeah. So like it was like my computer was like, is this LimeWire? What is going on? So
Emmy, what did you do to the family computer?
So I download all this stuff, and then like
it saves to the shared file.
I just save it. Yeah, I didn't even like put it anywhere. Like the default pictures folder.
God,
I was just like,
god, they were
I was
probably.
like,
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, I know this story way too well.
Fuck.
so I just did not care. Just whatever. Put them in the pictures. Family uses the computer. Who cares? Who's gonna open pictures?
Oh,
Immediately caught. I mean,
Oh.
immediately, like
you
within
would
a
have left
day.
the computer. Your mom would have gone to go print off some family pictures on 90 titties, and the earth
Yeah,
would have
like-
shattered.
Oh, God.
Immediately caught.
Oh,
So,
my
Hear
God,
like
that's
the mirror
horrible.
dimension of Doctor Strange in your face because you're just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I don't even know what I was thinking. I mean, I was not a bright kid. I don't know why.
No
I
one
didn't even
is.
try to
Not a
hide it.
single person is. You learn how to be smart from fucking up. I learned how to isolate a computer virus and completely nullify it and just neuter it from just general that kind of shit. I was like,
Years of mistakes.
I was like, oh god, there's a computer virus. It's slowly destroying my computer. What do I do? And then I'm immediately like, well, we don't have an antivirus. We don't have Norton. I better start looking up on Google.
For me, it was just, I looked up, I was so ashamed that I didn't really make much of an effort beyond looking up whatever scraps of breast expansion material ended up on YouTube.
For a solid 5 years, it and Dailymotion were probably the best places to find.
Oh, there was a bunch
Just
of stuff on
random
Dailymotion.
shit.
Man.
Like,
Yeah, shout out to Dailymotion.
Dailymotion's entire income comes from porn.
I discovered most of this community on Dailymotion, and I think
Yeah.
Good day, good emotion.
that was also where I first watched that scene from Faust Love and the Damned or something.
Good
yes.
lord.
The classic.
The classic, the cinematic classic.
I remember finding that, not knowing what was going on, processing it, and okay, there's 2 hemispheres processing at the exact same time. One hemisphere is like, this is fucking awesome, and then the other parts is like, what is going on?
It's horrifying, but it's also kind of hot, and that's what I found appealing about it.
I mean, yeah, that's what does it, and then you look in your recommended and it's like Pluto Nash clip, and then you click on the Pluto Nash clip, and then it's the dude where's my car clip.
I
And it's-
swear, every fucking time, my memory of being on YouTube when I was 14, it's like every now and again, one of those clips would pop up in my recommended feed.
I used a completely different channel because now I have one affiliated with my regular channel, but like back in the day, you couldn't have multiple channels linked to an account. I had to use my regular YouTube channel. So if I go back to it, there will be at least 30 different ones like that, probably. Like, I was not a safe internet practitioner.
Oh yeah.
I remember the first site I went to that sort of immersed me in that was called Inflation Kingdom. And it was this really bog standard forum, but being dumb as shit, like socially, I didn't understand how forums worked. I just thought it was a website that just hosted tons of pictures.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, same. You're not alone. I went to Expansion Mansion and I was like, what is this? I don't know. I don't
Fucking
care.
Expansion Mansion, that takes me back.
Yeah, there are booba here. It's good enough for me. I found the original Pulse on there, Lightfoot, and read all that. And then from Lightfoot's website, they had a link to White Lightning Productions. So then we get into the Magnificent Milkmaid, and I read all that. Chi-Chi-Chan. It was a rabbit hole.
For me, like when I started going into breast expansion, and this is I started on YouTube. Then I was like, well, YouTube is not going to have a lot. It's YouTube. It's a family friendly platform. So then it was just like,
we thought they want to think they are, but they are not.
No, they host animal crushing videos. Of course, it's not a family friendly platform, but they're going to still try.
Yeah, and for a while they had those fucked up kids videos.
God, don't remind me of that shit. I was trying to block that shit out. Oh God! But like, I did that, and then like, I found Bamboo Blaze just randomly. Sometimes they just upload full Bamboo Blaze videos on YouTube.
Straight up, 11 minutes, just uncut.
Like that, I found like her stomach one that I found was for breast ones because that was what she would usually do. She didn't have, she either do belly or breast, and then like from there I found her website, and then also I found Parang Ding Dong, which is just the weirdest experience to find.
Okay, yeah. So agreed.
It like I remember like scrolling through all of this stuff on YouTube, and it's like, yeah, I'm getting pleasure out of this, but at the same time, I feel almost kind of dirty looking at all this stuff. Like I feel like I'm looking at something that I'm not supposed to. Like I don't know what's going on behind the camera here.
Oh God, yeah. Like but Farang Ding Dong, like that was the vibe of it. It's still going too.
Yeah. So I all right. It was very weird. So when I became an adult and I had a stable income, I was like, I'm paying that $19.95. I gotta see.
You gotta see what this is because the site is like mythologizing about it.
Yeah, I need to know. So like I still to this day have like a complete rip of like their content up to like 2015.
Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, I subscribed and I was like, I mean, we're in here now. I can't do anything about it.
In the weeds, might as well indulge.
Hacker noises. I'm in.
I'm in.
I like, for me, what baffled me, because like when I was younger, and this still affects me, this still fucks with my brain to this day. I know it was fake. I know those aren't real like tits. Those are giant basketball size. There's no way they could physically have breast implants that big.
They're incredible prosthetics.
Some of them are bigger than basketballs.
Oh, I know, but like they were at minimum that size, and I'm like, there's no way. And you can have prosthetics that big. But there's no way they'd have nipples that big. There's no way. I'm like, and to this day, like I go back and I look back at that, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm still confused. It's so massive you can't process it. Like they're basically the same thing as the stuff like that's brought about now. But for Ding Dong, it's presented in such a weirdly mythologized thing. You're just like, I shouldn't believe this. It's not real. However, I must also try to.
Yeah, it's like, all right, they knew their fan base from the jump. They were like,
which is insane because it's like
there is an audience
website.
That's what I'm saying. That the website still looks like it's from the early internet age, but like they immediately were like, I know who likes this, and I there has to be an audience for it because I like it, and I was like, I wish I had that kind of bold confidence.
little Emmy going, wow, what brazen confidence. And
I
then
mean, like,
years later, you're like, I have it now.
yeah, pretty much. Like I'm like, this website still.
And also, I think that's just a testament to how simple is effective when it comes to selling this kind of shit. You don't need like too much glitz and glam, too much crazy shit. You just need to know your audience, cater to that audience, and really work with them.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. Like once there was a time, and this is kind of like getting into porn history in general. There was a time where like you would go like sites like BambiBlaze.com were subscription based. You could buy the individual clips, but they'd be much more expensive than if you had the subscription and just paid that. And you could download the clips, and like there was a big crash where all of the sites like that just died. And that's
Yeah.
right around the time Pornhub took over, and that's because Pornhub established a sort of like monopoly on porn, and that's when everything started getting uploaded to there, and how we all transitioned from having our shit on YouTube, our shitty, weird quality,
AMV boob
God,
videos.
to we moved it to Pornhub, which is just YouTube for porn.
Yeah, or it was. Yeah, it's not. It's not anymore.
No, it's not. No, you know what it is? They had the ability to, not fuck it up from the beginning, and they just kept doing it. Side note, I know the whole story behind it, like what all the issues that were raised were. Every model that has ever been on that site, every person who's ever interacted with it and has like worked with sex workers and stuff is like, Pornhub knows how to fix this. They just didn't, and they fixed it when it started fixing their government.
Yeah, I mean, they could have. They're absolutely right. I mean, I had clips on Pornhub for a while, and
Oh yeah, and the verification process was not hard from like people I've talked to about it
well,
originally.
no, not at all. But
It was a blech,
It was a blech.
yeah,
and now
that's
it's
the best
still
way
a
to put
blech,
it.
but it's a much less blech.
Blech.
Yeah, it's better than it was, but it's not as good as it used to be.
It's like, but yeah, no, I get that, and like just looking back at all the like the ways that people sort of went, like they sort of dove through it. Like I kind of like we've got the general buried content like maze of exploration into kink. We have your testament sort of how breast expansion sort of like got around to it. I would love to see the other expansions and how they sort of started, like when you start searching for it and how they sort of get into like got to now. That's like I'm a sociologist. Figuring out how socially people go from point A to point B fascinates the fuck out of me.
Well, breast expansion has a very unique set of advantages compared to all other expansion sites.
Oh yeah.
One of those being the acknowledgement and sort of acceptance of the existence of trans people.
Oh
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
Like there's that,
So
and just like generally speaking, if I were to sort of like also deja vu, I had like a premonition of having this exact conversation 5 minutes ago, weirdly. But like it's a hierarchy of from normalized to seen as abnormal, mostly because of its absurdity. You have like breast and butt, and then belly because of like pregnancy and weight gain and stuff. Then you have
yeah,
like the weight gain and deliberate weight gain and stuff, and then you have like blueberry and full body expansion, and sort of you have that sort of like increasingly amplified and escalating pattern, and it's very fascinating the degree in which it's accepted to the degree of which it's also a referential joke, or it's like breast expansion and butt expansion are common just surgeries, but there's no
yeah,
surgery to like make you rapidly gain weight or rapidly turn into a giant fucking the
We can
sentences
dream.
that come
Keep the
out of
dream
this
alive.
fucking podcast. Oh my
um,
god, you could just make compilations of these are sentences that have now been said. But fucking, I have to think of the names. But there's like people from all the way from underbust to like they just have like basketball sized tits. That's just sort of quote normalized in terms of the absurdity being acceptable.
yeah, yeah. I mean, pretty much.
I remember the first time I saw a video of Chelsea Charms, and I was
Oh
just
god,
like,
that's the one I was thinking of. Yep.
I was just gobsmacked. Like I did not know I did not know you could have them that size. Like, even fake ones, I did not know they could get that big.
I mean, it's kind of wild to think about. Yeah.
Fun fact: my first exposure to breast expansion was a Ripley's Believe It or Not or Guinness World Records book. If I can't remember which precisely, but I opened it to a page and there's just this woman in a blue dress with like world record breaking tits. I'm like, this feels like it shouldn't be in a school library.
Okay.
You know what? Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's like, but I'm like at the same time like, this is. I don't know how to process this.
I have the same attitude towards David Shannon books, but that's really more of a personal thing.
I like. It's just it's like fascinating, the acceptability, the acceptance and stuff. It also is fascinating how different like non-expansion but like transformative like change kinks like intersect with this. Like with breast expansion and butt expansion, you also get like you could also get towards lean towards bimbo kink and stuff, and that's really fucking cool how those can intersect and how they can sort of like swoop through each other.
It's like boy, what was I thinking of? It's like the fetish iceberg.
Yeah, that makes absolute fucking sense. Somebody make that if it hasn't already been made.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen one, but yeah, it's kind of like that. You can kind of keep going, and these are like at the top, the starting points, and as you delve deeper, it kind of intersects with every kink. Like at least BE, I see it a lot. I see it as a part of everything nowadays, to be honest.
Because it's just so easy to implement. Blueberry inflation is like, it's not really, the reasons I'm into it are the same reasons I'm into weight gain, breast expansion, belly expansion, butt expansion. Like it brings all of those sub fetishes together into like one coherent whole, and that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, that's I know what you mean, because like I used to be very, very vanilla, and you just see that one piece of art that's like technically a breast expansion piece, but they added in something a little different, and you're like, oh, that's spicy, I like that. And then you just keep going.
The weirdest thing about the internet is now it's introduced a whole load of social topographical things that we don't know how to compensate for them. Like one of the things I think we'll start seeing with like regards to like sociology is just watching how just different trends on the internet are reflections of life and like that infinite reflection kind of fractalization. Like we're going to see social fractalization in that kind of regard where it just starts reflecting in absurdum. And it's incredible, but it's also kind of like what the fuck do we do? Like once something reflects to a point of it like impossibility, it becomes hard to conceptualize. Like on top of the fetish iceberg, I would say there is, and this is going to be controversial. Well, like it'll get controversial in a sec. There is, boob, butt, like thighs, typical, just standard like body part stuff, and like maybe feet just on the precipice, and then you get that one thing that starts getting you further and further down. Once the brain starts playing with how sexuality functions in your imagination, then you start getting more expressive and more absurd, more crazy. You start opening up your tastes to more options, in my mind.
Yeah.
That's when you get into the multi-boob territory.
I mean, it's definitely true though, because it's like there are things on my alt Twitter or things that I post on Stat Change where the me of 10 years ago would be like, "What are you doing? What's this? What's this about?"
Me of 10 years ago would be like, "You're pan? Holy shit." The me of 10 years ago would be mortified. Like, I used to be mildly evangelical, somewhat conservative Christian boy.
That's how it starts, isn't it? That's how it goes. There are two paths.
Me of 10 years ago would just be like, wait a minute. Okay, that actually, no, wait, that makes sense.
Yeah, see, like for me, the path was very heavily paved by a cratered path trailed by juice. That was literally it. And then like the way that I introduce myself to new fetishes is I try and conceptualize it through the blueberry kink and try and adapt it within, and that works so well.
Man, that's really,
Ooh.
geez, I was gonna say that is a good thought process.
It is fucking incredible how like plastic sexuality can be with the person. Once you start actually looking at sexuality as not just a biological process that you do, because that's important to see it as, but also to see it as like an essential part of human existence. We all get turned on. Why we get turned on is affected by how we see ourselves, how we see the world, and all these different things, and how we sort of understand it. And having like control of your sexuality in a way where you can embrace it as well as like work with it like clay is really key to being able to be a really happy and functional person. Like I still have my depression, I still have all the shit, but like 10 years ago I was fucking miserable. The biggest thing that I wanted to accomplish with this podcast is to bring people together and to talk through this shit as if it's a thing that is an experience as opposed to just like a flaw or just a purely biological circumstance. That's the purpose of this, and I think that is sort of like getting accomplished because like we're talking about you, how you got into this, and we're starting to see commonalities as well as like people are starting to collaborate outside of this kind of stuff on like different platforms to create new stuff and really open themselves up to new things. And I'm fascinated by like how people accomplish that.
Yeah, it's I think you've been successful, definitely.
I yeah
Um
and like the work that you do is no small feat in its own right because you're just like working with all these people to like bring about essentially their more private dreams and sort of bring them into reality, solidify an intangible concept.
and you're good with words. What do you say? What major are you?
If it helps, I was raised by an English teacher, and I do not speak well when I'm not like this is me focused on something. When I'm not focused on something, I sound like Cheese from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That is the best like, and that's partially my fault. I used to act like Cheese.
Blueberries.
I like chocolate milk. I like chocolate milk. Can I have some chocolate milk? Can I have some chocolate milk?
Oh man. Okay, but yeah, I agree with your points here. It's really nice to be able to and thank you for um making my content seem significant in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
I'm just a guy that likes booba at the
I
end of the
mean,
day.
that's important. Like, I have a view, like, the way that I see this kind of stuff, we're all part of this sort of social ecosystem. The fetish ecosystem is affected by everything at all levels, from the content producers, like general sex workers, all the way down to the people who consume it. And it's all affected by other things. And we have to start working towards a point where we collaborate and are open to working together because it's been so insular that it's become sort of a problem. Like,
Yeah.
it just that division, that conflict is uh, if it's from a place of pettiness and bullshit and isn't from a place of like genuine earnest collaboration and passion, it just seems like a waste. And on top of that we have like Pornhub just putting out like Pornhub and the subsidiaries of MindGeek, I think that's what they're called, MindGeek, just putting out the same 5 fucking videos with new
I don't even
people
know who
every
that
year.
is.
Huh? Oh no,
I don't
it's
even know what that is.
okay. So little side education thing for anyone who would like to know. Um, Pornhub is owned by a company called MindGeek. MindGeek Holdings, I think is it's called, has a fuck ton of porn studios under its, belt. And all of those porn studios are also banner advertisers on their site.
Oh wow.
So when I say they have a monopoly, they are making money by both for a while from uploading stolen content and also from producing their own content without like it was just a money farm and it's still technically it was just
I mean, yeah, that is insane.
it is
Okay,
mind blowing.
I had no idea. It is. I have been educated. This is wild. Okay.
And
Where's the YouTube video on MindGeek at?
they're not, I don't think anyone's ever going to address it like who's from America without like first building up so much substantial evidence that it is impossible for them to weasel out of it because like we're just so puritanical shit.
Yeah, I mean, wow,
It's
that's
fucking mind
nuts.
blowing.
It is. I had no idea. It's woo.
and it just like you can. There's a creator I follow called Siri Doll. She's popular, so probably a familiar name if you know. She's talked about it in an article before. Lots of like porn actresses have. And ever since like the pandemic too, which terrifyingly, since the pandemic sort of forced the big studios to sort of like hold off on their productions, and OnlyFans and stuff like that took off, independent creation. People have been a lot more outspoken against it and against how that shit's kind of worked. Just watching it that from a sociologist standpoint, has kind of been fascinating because it, you never see that side of this shit. You just see the banner ads of like Mariah Mills or whoever the big name is now in their
I
like
mean, you
little.
don't give it a second thought.
No, you don't, because it's just you just like seeing two people fucking.
Yeah, you're too distracted by the booba to notice that you're being exploited.
I'm not even thinking about it. You ever think about how much money you would make if you had no morals?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
I mean, all the time.
Like it's absurd.
It's terrifying.
I mean, the thing is, you need to have no morals, but you also need to have some money already in order to, be successful.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
you're just some bum with no morals.
Yeah, good point. You gotta have like some entry money, and then once you have that, yeah.
Oh god, it's fascinating, truly fascinating. I was so distracted by my horniness that I forgot capitalism existed. Like,
hey, can you send me some of those articles you were talking about? I
did a whole
myself.
like thing for my gender and like stuff's class. I can't remember, but like I interviewed Woods for that, and I made a pamphlet, and I can just find the sources for that. Yeah, it's fascinating stuff, and I'll probably put it in the description for anyone who's fascinated by that. But yeah, no, it's watching the sort of like the stuff that you've been working in, and just how all of those tiny gears, like how like you working with Mads is Stacked and all those creators has sort of built towards the establishment of different newer sort of more collaborative communities, as opposed to these like really weird hierarchies of the same five porn videos. Like
Yeah,
it's the same five. That's all it is.
Yeah, boy, and so before we had the advent of the breastplate and the crossplay prosthetics, everybody just made their own stuff by hand, so because everybody was
like
making their own stuff, you didn't ever want to share any information. So it's just kind of like, I don't want anybody to just make my props and then they start making their own content, and so everybody was very split off. Nobody wanted to work together on anything.
That's creator conflict. There's also the dissonance between creator and consumer, because you talked about before, like how people see you as this elevated person.
It is very strange.
That sort of talks about it is. It is.
It helps to have a podcast.
Yeah, I have talked to people who've been like, "Oh my god, you're talking to me. You have this podcast." It's very rare when it happens, and when it happens, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. I am just a small person making video.
We've all been in sort of that position. Like, I've been starstruck. I know when I started like my Twitter in 2019, and like Cake was one of my first 100 followers, and I was like, oh my god, and
they call him Cake, yes.
And yeah, I was like real shook about it, and so I've been in those. Yeah, you've definitely been in those shoes, but like as you start to grow and talk to more people, you begin to sort of, I don't want to say become numb to that, but like realize that they're people too. People all the time will approach me and like sort of mention like that I'm big. I just feel like a guy. It's like people were like, "Oh, you're a celebrity," or you're this big, and I mean, man.
I just have this image in my head of just like, there's two yous. There's the big you that everyone like sees, where it's big, muscle, powerful, make video, and then there's the regular you who's just like, I'm just a little dude. He just little round head, little square body, just stick arms, just like, I'm just a little dude making shit.
He's just a dude.
That's just me. That's how it is. Like the thing I want to hammer home to like listeners to the podcast is, if you want to talk to a creator, 9 times out of 10, they'll be level with you if it's in like a community of this size. There's a difference between talking to people like, around here and talking to fucking Hugh Jackman and trying to collaborate with the people at Marvel.
Yeah, that's
Like,
boy. You're out there.
Just don't keep asking them over and over again whether they like to roleplay. That's my advice.
oh yeah, that's also a big issue. I think we're starting to see sort of the waning of that and like the actual established parameters too, but it's slow and yeah.
I don't even
people
have
get it.
my messages on Twitter on, and I'm you messaged me on DA, which is wild. I gotta say that was a shot in the dark because I check DA once every 7 months.
Every not the worst shot in the dark, believe me, not in the history of this podcast.
I probably should have asked for your Discord way earlier than I did because I realized that communicating with you over DeviantArt was not going to work.
Well, it's not. It's also DeviantArt has a shit communication system.
I don't even know when I get messages. I got notifications on, and I don't know when I get messages.
Would you like to know something hilarious?
Yes.
You will only get a notification if it is a note or if it is a an actual like comment or favorite. And on my old phone, that was a 50-50 chance. Like, you will never get a notification if it's like the actual Messenger app, the thing they made for people to fucking communicate. They don't have like a sound for it.
That's
And like, if you're on the computer, there's a sound also 50-50. And like, if you're off the page, if like you're on YouTube, you're watching YouTube, but you're also on DeviantArt, if you leave the page for too long and the page unloads, yeah, you have to reload it again, and then you get the notification.
Oh my god, yeah. It's just
Like, how the fuck did they fuck that up?
man. And it used to be like my site. I was like on DA.
It's still technically a site, sadly.
Yeah, but I'm still kind of like there aren't really that many good like outlets for me to post my stuff, so it's like I'm kind of stuck here. Like I'd be on Tumblr.
Yeah.
I'd be on Tumblr, but that's not a thing anymore.
For a writer, particularly, it's hard out there. For a fetish writer, woo!
I know the pain.
You guys got heart. That's what I gotta say about that.
There's only one story that I know of that's still consistently getting favorites, and I don't know how because it is probably one of my least like effort stories ever. It was a point of view blueberry thing. Like all of my point of views have done extremely well. Every other thing is just like, oh, maybe 3 or 4. I'm like, well, shit, I guess.
I mean, listen.
Nobody likes this.
No, it's not that nobody likes it. You just writing bangers. That's what I'm saying.
It's just like
it's too good. Point of view is too good.
Well, and it's the same for me when I try to like I've sort of branched off into like transformation content or like furry transformation content, and that barely gets any attention. Like meanwhile, if I upload a berry morph, it's like 50 favorites within the first hour.
Once you try and pivot and expand your market, it takes fucking forever on DeviantArt to have them recommend it because they've already pretty much defined your niche.
Yeah.
And when you're catering to your fucking niche, they're like, oh well, squirrels.
There's my niche again.
Horrific. It's like, and it goes back to sort of like the unfriendliness to adult content most sites have. Tumblr still is a great site for like absurd kinks, but once you get more to the bog standard, there is nothing. There is absolutely nothing, and that's just because Tumblr is.
It's a nanny site. It's like your evangelical aunt, like hitting you with a fucking cane every time you think of masturbating.
But for some reason, she'll talk about Benedict Cumberbatch's horny ass cheekbones for 10 minutes.
Oh man, sexy Tumblr guys, I don't miss them.
They've moved to Twitter now.
Sexy Twitter guys.
They're not gone. They've just become a different thing. They're also on TikTok. I'd like to say right now, I don't ever want to see TikTok develop into a place where these kind of communities thrive. Mostly because TikTok is a terrible place.
I don't want to see. Okay, man, I've got so many opinions. I don't even have a TikTok. I'll probably never make one.
I recommend it if you want to like get some comedy videos every now and again. But
that's what Reddit's for. Like all the good stuff from TikTok is also on Reddit, so just go there.
Filters everywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It's like how Vine was essentially.
I post on it to shit post or to vent, and I've just seen, you know, that when I said like about that reflection bullshit, the reflect ad absurdum, it happens there all the fucking time.
Yeah.
all the fucking time. It's terrifying. Sometimes it's for a good reason. A lot of times, just like there's better things to do with your time. No, it's I don't ever want to see it thrive there. Like Instagram would be fine if it wasn't such a fucking shittily managed site by Facebook.
Man, all Instagram is ad central.
It is. And it irritates me because like they have more like functionality for ads than and sponsorships and shit like that. Like you'll open it, like you'll scroll through and it's so like it flows so well in it that you can't tell at first, and then you start looking, you're like, oh, this is an ad.
Yeah,
Like,
it's awful.
And the copious amounts of art theft certainly doesn't help.
it does not. No, it does not. The amount of times I've just like I've told people, hey, I know this artist, could you credit them? And they're either offended I have asked, or they block me
Yeah,
immediately.
that's my favorite
Oh.
reaction. Hey, I took this picture. Could you give me credit? Man, you asking for credit on your photo? It sounds like you need a block to me.
Like, oh, all right, that escalated
I'm
quickly.
like, oh, all right, jeez, my bad.
But yeah, no, there's so many conversations that can be had about this, and honestly, like, it's just fascinating to see. I want to see what the next phase is for like adult content because we're about to see like either a reckoning or just sort of like something, because like shit's getting weird with adult content just in general. Like I use the term sex work and sex work adjacent content because there's sex workers who like use their bodies and stuff and they perform like different stuff, and then there's sex work adjacent who make stuff like that isn't technically sex work, and we're about to see either something like crazy happen or something that should have happened a long time ago but hasn't yet
Yeah,
in terms of that adult content because quarantine kind of changed people. Everyone got hornier, everyone got angrier, everyone got tireder.
yeah. I mean, it definitely did. I agree. I think what the next step is we need to find sort of a place to host content that's kind of in the in between sex work adjacent as you called it, because and this is something I struggle with.
I would love to see itch.io kind of expand from just games because their sex work or their sex work and sex work adjacent supportive.
Ooh.
Yeah, like that would be nice because like for the stuff that I make, which isn't like it's
It's
not
not offensive. You're
yeah,
not
it's not very offensive. I know that it's technically porn, but like it's not really porn.
Like it's
You know?
not porn to like most of the people who are not in on the kink. You know, they look at it and they're like, okay, this is a bit weird, whatever.
Yeah, I know I've always whenever I shoot with somebody, I always make a point to be very upfront about, the video we're doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I guess it's like softcore, and then like I showed like video examples that I've made, and like one of the reactions I got was like, this is not porn. And
I
I'm
mean, you
like,
got mood boobs.
yeah, and I'm like, I
Like,
guess if you're not into the kink, you would think that, but I can't just post it.
It's got
yeah,
got
no,
booba. Well, look at all the
I
booba
call it the
here.
mood. Like, I think a good like example of that is the mood boobs phenomena. It was a short film that took off because there's a fetish community, but also it's just incredibly fucking silly.
Yeah, I mean,
And
yeah,
we talked about this in my like human sexuality class. And I think that there's this archaic definition because paraphilias include so many fucking things, some of which are not okay,
Mhm.
some of which are definitely not okay and should not be called like. And I think we need to update not only the language but also just the classification and examination of it because there's 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 the actual like kinks and stuff like there's BDSM, there's breast expansion, there's bimbofication, hypnosis, all these different things that are genuinely harmless if you know what the fuck you're doing and you're doing it safely.
right,
And then there's shit that's also somehow paraphilias that are just harmful that I will not list because they just make me mad that they're considered under the same category because I think that because they come from two different places. And like I've experienced shit from like a place of like paraphilia in a place of harm, and like paraphilia and harm are like night and day, and that's what there just should be a different thing, and I think we're going to see that either happen or we're going to see a complete counter to that. Given the fact that that the world can both answer positively or negatively, I don't want to say anything to the affirmative and risk it never happening and just destroying itself. So, yeah, covering the bases from jinxes.
Understood.
I just want to say we've been going for like over an hour at this point, like about an hour and 15 minutes. Do we want to
Oh yeah.
do we want to start running
We probably should wrap up.
We should. Yeah. Let's wind down.
This is gonna be a bitch to edit.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry, Sassy. Keep that in so people know that you do work.
The things I do for this project.
The things I do for what? The final question I have is sort of a silly, fun question: gravity or buoyancy when it comes to like expansion content? You know, heavy, or floaty.
All right, it's always got to be heavy for me.
Hell, fucking yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell, fucking
heavy is where it's at.
Yeah, I am. That weight, that gravity.
Mm-hmm.
Gravity. All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Emmy. Hope you have a lovely evening.
It is nighttime.
Evening. I live in like a lower floor apartment. My window is 2 inches wide, like for light, so I can't tell sometimes. But you have a lovely evening, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was been an awesome conversation. I had a great time, and I really enjoy the show. I hope everybody likes listening to it.
Do you have any pluggables to plug?
Oh yeah, plug your pluggables.
Oh, plug my pluggables. Okay. I don't plug my Patreon at all, but if you ever want to see all the videos that we've done and any new videos that I'm doing, you can go to patreon.com/KimiExpansions. If you want to see me on Twitter, which is where I am most of the time, and I post a lot of art stuff, that is Kimmy Expansions. At Kimmy Expansions, I'm Emmy there. I have a YouTube channel that's just Emmy. I have a podcast that I hope will one day be as good as this one that you can listen to.
Aww.
What's it called?
Curves in Conversation. I speak
I need to listen to that too. I have so many podcasts that I have to listen to.
Yeah, I've spoken to a few other people in the art orbit. I spoke to Cake. I spoke to Lashani on there. I spoke to Mr. Peku, Sponson, Lemon Font. So yeah, there's a few good interviews on there. But that's me. Those are my pluggables.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining us. And we have returned from the interview. That was a wonderful interview.
That was quite a long one.
It was.
It was great.
I loved it.
I love Emmy. They're cool.
All right. So, and yeah, Emmy's great. They produce great content. They're a great shit poster, and love you, Emmy.
Booba.
Booba. All right, so new segment is up next. Where to start? ChubbyChiquita, the weight gain model, has had plans to do blueberry inflation stuff for a while now. I think I've given an update on this before, but currently right now, just sort of to let people know who don't know, who aren't on her OnlyFans or don't follow her socials, that she is taking a break for a moment because she has some, I think, a medical procedure, medical something or other. That she has to get done. I don't think it's too serious. I won't jinx it, so I don't know. But she's doing that. That's where she is. That's why it's taking a bit longer. So be patient. She will produce more content soon. I think in the following weeks.
She'd make a really good blueberry.
Yeah, she would. She's had enough photo edits, and she definitely wants to do it. And I talked to her on her OnlyFans about it.
Oh.
Like giving her some ideas, some spots and stuff. So she's definitely down to do it, and I know that. Gwen Adora, the lovely other larger bodied lady model, also is intrigued to do more inflation stuff, more blueberry stuff. If you want to order custom, I'd inquire with her at her OnlyFans. But I know that because I asked her myself if she was interested in doing it. So yeah, like if you have the spending money for it and you want to do it, Gwen's up for it. There's the news. TMC updates. TMC has quite a bit of content coming down the pipe, berry wise. There's going to be some cool ideas. There's going to be some new ideas, some crazy ideas, and I think there's just going to be new stuff. So I hope y'all enjoy that. But I know a lot of it is just her own stuff coming around. So hopefully y'all enjoy that. And then this is a last minute edition that I sort of stumbled upon. There is a model named Sunny Ray who did a cosplay of blueberry inflation, and she has on her OnlyFans, I think, 4 videos in that cosplay and stuff. And there is at least one of them is expansion roleplay. So if you're into that, if you'd like how she looks, I'll link that stuff in our link tree. I'll be sure to like promote that shit. But yeah, that's the news.
She's cute. She'd totally make a good blueberry as well.
Oh, she is. It's phenomenal, and her vids are great. She's also she does a bunch of geeky stuff, so that stuff's amazing. And I think everyone will like it. I think they'd like her. Now, do you want to move into your phenomenal segment idea?
So this isn't really a long segment. I just have a proposal to make. So I'd say that our community is very intersected with a lot of other communities.
Yeah.
Like people like blueberry inflation, but they also like other things too. Like for me at least, like blueberry inflation is sort of a culmination of a lot of my different interests. I love transformation, right. I love expansion, I love, weight gain. Like it's a very tactile fetish. I know we've used that word a lot today.
If you like blueberry, you like a bunch of other stuff. It just sort of happens.
Exactly. And so I'm also into things like giantess, shrinking, other unrelated inflations, or if that's a thing.
All of the genders, giantess, shrinking, other.
Yeah, those are the genders that I'm into. But like, you have all of these like different, like they're very similar in terms of the kinds of people they attract, but when you get right down to it, they are very, very different flavors of fetish. So
if we were in the factory, none of us would befall the same fate.
Yeah, exactly. So my proposal, since everybody here loves acronyms, I propose the term SIT. Size, inflation, transformation.
I like it. It's to the point, but it's also very inclusive because with size you get the macro, micro, and weight gain and fetism stuff. Like, because that's kind of how that goes. With inflation, you get the big booba, big body, blueberry stuff, and then with transformation, you get the change 'em stuff.
And furries.
Yes, I just assumed they were part of all of them.
Like the Venn diagram between like the amount of people who like all of these things is huge. Like, inflation is kind of a common meme in a lot of furry circles.
Oh yeah, and when it's not, it's usually like it's transformation. If it's not that, it's size stuff. Like a lot. Like I remember when cringe culture was still popular, that was sort of the thing that people would cringe at. And I'm like, I don't get why this is cringy. Little did I know, it's because
you were into it.
It's because I'm not normal. Because I'm not fucking standard.
Mm.
Man.
But yeah, SIT. If this, it's just an idea. I'm just spitballing. If it catches on, cool. If it doesn't, whatever. I tried.
That's SIT spelled S as in Susan, I as in is, T as in totally cool.
This episode has been brought to you by the letter S for SIT.
I like it. All right, tell us what you guys' thoughts are down below, please. I'm very interested in this. I've wanted to make an acronym for it, but I am not creative with acronyms. So I'm glad Sassy came up with one because she is very smart.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So our final segment is piracy awareness. This is something I wanted to talk about because it is very important that we talk about it.
I made a mistake. This episode is actually brought to you by the letter R.
Okay, so we all know that piracy is okay when it's stealing from a big company like EA or Disney. I will not encourage it for legal purposes, but pretty much like they're expensive as shit.
I
Go
know.
wild.
We do not endorse that you steal from EA or Disney. Like we would never in a million years suggest that that would be a moral decision.
But piracy, as you start scaling downwards, when you start focusing on like smaller groups, like porn studios such as Taylormadeclips, Woodskinkcafe, Curvage Models, piracy is a problem. I will also caveat, there are larger studios such as stuff like Pornhub and MindGeek that are very much powerful and prominent and control a lot of the industry. I will not say one way or the other, don't pirate from them because that is a choice on your own and you will be harming workers doing that. But when it comes to people like Taylormadeclips, when it comes to people like Missa X, when it comes to people who have smaller time stuff, piracy affects everything. The reason why Missa X did not make any more Blueberry videos past the 2 that she made was because too many people were pirating it. And we could have gotten a lot more high quality, like high effects videos on top of like Taylormadeclips like stuff. We could have gotten 2 people making suit like stuff, and we could have built the community more. There could have been more collaboration, but we can't because people pirated it too much. Like piracy affects Taylor's bottom line. It affects who she can get as like for models, who she can like pay, who she can bring in. It affects how she can direct people, locations that she can shoot at, which shockingly enough, guys, shockingly enough, people, if you don't have money, you can't get locations. You can't get other places. That's how production works. And you know, I'll be completely honest. I've pirated. Everyone at some point in their life when they're wanting porn has pirated porn. Pornhub existed pretty much as a bastion for that for pretty much a decade. That was its entire purpose. But I have since stopped pirating. I stopped pirating quite a while ago. I don't like the idea of pirating, and it's not great. And people shouldn't do it because like we often assume because we don't know the production studios that make this content that it's going to be okay. They can afford it. They can clearly afford all these other things. But like costumes and you know makeup and stuff is like small stuff, but that small stuff compounds. And then you get locations if they do location shoots. You get like if they want to get a big time model, that's a cost. Like if you want these studios to make content that you like, buy the content now and then help suggest ideas and like get like bring models in. Like one of the things that has really like been amazing is I've talked to Taylor. Taylor's a very like fun person to talk to. She's got like she's got a lot going on. She's not just doing this. She's trying to improve this, but she's not just doing this. Like she's got a life. She's got pets, a house, and like a bunch of obligations outside of this that contribute and help make her like make content better. So if you
Taylor's got
really
it going
want,
on.
yeah, Taylor's a person. Like, have you been to college and had a part-time job? Congratulations. You've probably lived the life of most sex workers, most people who produce adult content. So support them. Don't pirate from them. It sucks. Like, and you're not. And there's chances you can be banned or like you won't be able to access their sites. So like, do your due diligence and just be helpful. I don't know what else to say.
People like porn. People like burgers. I don't understand why the workers who are making those things are often the most derided.
I think it's because we live in a weird society that's like, if it's work that's tedious and hard that I don't like, I don't respect it. And I think it came out of the 80s, if I'm going to be honest. I have a sneaking suspicion Reagan had something to do with it.
Any fucking class divide you can think of, Reagan is probably tied to it in some
You
way.
can trace the 3 people: Reagan, Nixon, and FDR. God damn it. Oh fuck. But yeah, just don't pirate. buy content, help people out. Like, I don't often like ragging on different sites. I really don't. But BBW Chan is not a place that's, conducive to producing better content. It's a Chan board. All Chan boards are toxic. They're meant to be. You're anonymous. Get you feel more emboldened to do things, and you do more harm to people. So like, try and not.
They're full of Nazis as well. Fuck them.
Oh god. Yeah, most Chan boards are. Like, I don't know if BBW Chan has them. I know 4chan, 8chan, fuck, all the Chans has at one point had them. So your best bet is to just help the studios out. That's the only way you'll get content. And the only way you'll be able to archive content. If you want something from a studio that is definitely going to close down, get their content and archive it. Don't just look for it. If it's gone, I don't know what to do then, but if you want the studio's stuff, if you want their stuff, buy their content. Like, do them justice, do them due diligence, be kind, and like, help these people. Honestly, like, the only way people continue progressing, the only way they'll spread to multiple platforms, the only way that they'll do more than do what you want is if you help them out. So that's it. Be a nice person.
Well, and it's like, with all this news that's been coming out about, like, different CEOs of, like, say, like Activision or Ubisoft, harboring this environment full of, like, horrible sex pests. It's like,
You're willing to buy the goods and services of Blizzard or EA, these companies that have atrocious work practices, atrocious work environments, atrocious distribution methods. Amazon, if you use Amazon, you have atrocious working methods. If you have bought a Nabisco fucking cookie, if you've bought Oreo or anything by Nabisco in the last month, you have fucking crossed a picket line. You've done some form of harm. Like, if you're willing to do that, but you're not willing to pay for the content, like pay for content that is produced oftentimes by one person, edited by one person, like distributed, produced, advertised by one person. If you're not willing to pay for that, but you're willing to look past all those different, much more atrocious practices with more alienated, far more harmful like things, I can't fathom that. Can you, Sassy?
I can't. Honestly, like, they say that there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, but I'd say sex work comes pretty close.
It does. Like, there are instances, and I will say there are instances and exceptions that sex workers are aware of. Like, MindGeek is not an ethical consumer place. Pornhub is definitely a place that has problems. But like, just because the world sucks right now doesn't mean you have to maintain and ensure that it sucks forever.
Well, and also keep in mind that those are much larger subsidiaries. So, like, there's a difference between buying something from them and buying something from, like, a single content
From Taylormadeclips or from Woods. Hell, clips for sale. Clips for I don't know if clips for sale has ever been problematic. If it has, it's not been very public. Clips for sale has been around for a long time. Fucking amazing videos. Okay? Like, just support people. If you want to see more, support people. If you want them to do better, support them.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. Like, nobody is obligating you to spend your money on videos you don't like. But if you want those videos to improve, I would encourage you to buy them. Like, the only way that we'll get more and better content is if we work together more and more and better. I know Taylor wants to work more and engage more with the community as best she can with the time that she has. I know she wants to move to other platforms. I know she wants to do like not move, but like, diversify her platform presence. And I think she can pull it off, and I think we should be able to support that. I think a lot of these content creators that are already on multiple platforms, we can support them. Like, Woods produces like great berry content. Beauregard BBW produces great berry content. People on Curvage, ton of the people on Curvage, the entire site of Curvage is pretty much just a bunch of people making content, and a lot of their berry content on there is great. Guys, we can do this. It's easy.
We've got the power.
If you can't afford it now, buy it at Christmas. Like, I guess that's it.
I think you summed it up pretty succinctly there.
We can, like, the world doesn't have to be shitty. We don't have to be depraved and angry and harmful to each other.
A better world is possible.
You got any pluggables, Sassy?
I am Sassy Viper on Twitter. I am Sassy Viper on DeviantArt. I've been a little bit slow lately, just because like I've had other, just because of life. I've had other things distracting me at the moment. But I will be back making stuff soon. I've been testing out some new I've been trying out some new methods in which I've been using like FaceApp to create fake faces for my morphs. And so a lot of the ethical concerns of using people's images for this kind of content don't really apply here anymore, so I can afford to be a little bit more risque with my stuff going forward.
Yeah, I've seen her her face app stuff. I see a lot of promise coming in the future from these things, and so follow Sassy there. I now have a kink and shitpost Twitter. I have a regular private Twitter that I don't like people following if they're in the kink community, because it's more me in real life. But I have a kink Twitter. It is my account. It's tied to my DA account. It's tied to my shit, and I shit post a lot of the time, and I post some of my commissions, and I talk about things, So it is, I think, aggro, but instead of an O, it's a 0 where the O is. I'll link it below. I'll link Sassy stuff below as well.
Hell yeah. And also follow this podcast on Twitter as well, where the
Please
Juicy
do.
Fruit podcast.
We have a Twitter. We'll post this episode, and maybe we'll retweet shit posts. Who knows?
Maybe.
But yeah, I will. We'll see y'all in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.